Hey guys, welcome back to the Daily Raid YouTube channel. Today we're going to be trying out somewhat of a different concept. While we are going to be talking about a sport that we have discussed before on this channel, we're going to be looking at it from a different perspective. The sport in question is basketball, and we're actually going to be doing something related to Indian basketball to be particular. Uh, the sport of basketball in India is something that I feel is really underappreciated, and it's a sport that has seen many legends come through the ranks over the years, at least ever since it's been played professionally in this country. And that's what we're going to be discussing today. We're going to be talking about one of the greatest Indian basketball players of all time, what he's contributed to the sport in India, and we're going to be exploring his career in a very unique way. The Indian basketball legend I'm talking about is one that I actually read about very recently in a sporting news article. The article written by or published by the Sporting News spoke about several Indian basketball legends, but the one that I'm focusing on today is a Mr. Ajmer Singh Chopra. Now, born in the 1950s, Mr. Ajmer Singh Chopra actually played basketball primarily during the 1970s and the 1980s, and he is without a doubt one of those Indian basketball legends. The reason I say that is because he not only received India's most prestigious sporting honor, which is the Arjuna Award, but he also had another major accomplishment, which, in my opinion, tops the Arjuna Award. And that is the fact that he represented the Indian basketball team on the Olympic stage during the 1980 Russian Olympics. Now, the reason why that is such an important accomplishment is simply because to this date, there has only ever been one Indian basketball team to make it to the Olympics, and that was the one Mr. Ajmer Singh Chopra was a part of. Now, you guys are probably wondering, a basketball team isn't just one player, there are several players there. And yes, there are a lot of other Indian basketball legends on that 1980 Olympic team, but Mr. Ajmer Singh Chopra stands out for a particular reason. He was credited for being a scoring machine. He left the 1980 Olympics being praised as one of the top 10 shooters in that tournament. And what's more, the Hindu actually praised him for his appetite for scoring baskets. And I thought that was pretty unique. So that's why I really just want to explore his career in a very interesting way. I say interesting because I want to see what he would be like in the NBA. Now, obviously, this raises another question. How exactly are you going to, look at the career of an Indian basketball player who never really played in the NBA, or, didn't never really reached that stage? Well, fortunately, in the 21st century, we have gaming, and with gaming comes basketball's premier video game, which is NBA 2K. One of the beautiful things about NBA 2K is that you can explore various scenarios with their My NBA feature, and that's exactly what we will be doing today. I have taken the liberty of basically creating a character in the image of Mr. Ajmer Singh Chopra, and we are going to be putting him in the NBA and simulating his career all the way from his rookie season to his final season in the NBA. We'll be looking at his accomplishments, how his performances are, his stats, and whether he becomes a Hall of Famer at the end of the day. Obviously, I think I've spoken a lot about this already. There's literally nothing left to do but actually get into it. So let me load up the game and show you guys what I've created and explain to you guys what we'll be doing today. Okay, so here we are in the game of NBA 2K, and I've already loaded up the character that I created for Mr. Ajmer Singh Chopra. Um, as respectful as I could possibly be, I've tried to keep the design of the character as close as humanly possible to what he looked like back in his prime. Taking a look at his vitals, first name Ajmer, last name Singh. Really can't change that. I've kept his position as shooting guard for a couple of reasons. One being the obvious one, that he is supposed to be a scoring machine, and number two has to do with his physical stats. So he's basically 6'5", and in terms of NBA standards, that's actually probably the perfect height for the position of shooting guard, and that's primarily why I have kept him in that position. Taking a look at everything else, his age really doesn't matter. He'll be starting the age of 21. He's from India, obviously. Jersey number 23, one of the most popular jersey numbers in basketball. And yeah, apart from that, his peak, which is basically the moment he enters his prime or starts progressing towards his prime, will start at the age of 23 and end at the age of 34. Once he hits 34 is when he'll start to regress in terms of his overall and other things related to that. I have given him a 99 potential, and the reason why I've done that is because, like I mentioned earlier in the video, I want to explore the career of an Indian legend in basketball. In other words, I want to put a spotlight on some of the legendary figures that Indian basketball has seen over the years, and I really can't do that by giving him an average or maybe you could say realistic potential. When you compare an Indian basketball player which may not be as skilled, or who may not be as skilled or as complete as an actual NBA player who has been playing the sport his entire life. So, for the sake of this scenario, for this simulation, and to get you guys, into basically following Mr. Ajmer Singh Chopra's career, I have given him 99 potential, which means once he hits his prime, he should be one of the best players in the NBA. And yeah, that's pretty much what you need to know about his vitals. Obviously, when you're talking about his skills and abilities, since he is a scoring machine, I've given him a 90 in what really matters, which is basically a driving layup, post fade, his ability to draw fouls, basically get to the free throw line, his close shot and his mid-range shot. His three-point shot is very average because when he functioned as a basketball player in the 70s and the 80s, shooting three-pointers wasn't really that popular. So I wanted to try and keep it as realistic as possible, which is why his three-point shot is at a 50. His free throw is at a 90. He is a shooting guard, so he should be able to handle the ball, which is why his ball handling is at an 80. Other than that, everything else is pretty average. His driving dunk is an 80. He can dunk the ball, being 6'5". And his shot IQ, which is his ability to know when to shoot the ball and how to shoot the ball in any given scenario, is a 90 because, again, he is a scoring machine. Outside of that, decent defensive stats. He's got good defensive rebounding, and everything else is pretty average at 50. His athleticism is pretty good overall. There was an article that described him as a rough and tough player, which is why I've given him some good athletic stats. We don't want him to get injured, which is why I've given him really high durability overall. And in terms of his mental abilities, I've kept his pass perception at a 50, his defensive consistency as a 50, and his help defense IQ as a 50, because again, I cannot stress that he is a scoring machine, and that is also why his offensive consistency is at a 95. We basically want him to be the premier scorer for any team that he's on, and that's really what's important. Now, this is where we get into the interesting part of NBA 2K and my NBA as a whole. One of the reasons it is so cool is because it, like I mentioned earlier, it allows you to explore certain scenarios. And it's not just these singular scenarios where you have to put the player in the modern NBA. With some of the later games with NBA 2K, you can actually explore different types of eras. And considering Mr. Ajmer Singh Chopra played in the 70s and 80s, that's literally what we're doing. Now, of course, he'll be coming in as a rookie during this time, but we have basically put him in what the game describes as the Bird versus Magic era. This was around the time when the NBA really started to pop off as an international sport and gain popularity and reach new heights, basically. And it all started with the rivalry of the Los Angeles Lakers' Magic Johnson and the Boston Celtics' Larry Bird. Now, in the game, the era starts in 1984, which means that Mr. Ajmer Singh Chopra will be a part of the 1984 draft class. And that is very important for one particular reason. Now, taking a look at the 1984 draft class, you've had some legendary players come through the ranks through this class. The likes of Hakeem Olajuwon, John Stockton. Charles Barkley would have been here if he was in the game, but he didn't want to be. But of course, the most important player that came in this draft class is arguably one of the greatest basketball players of all time, if not the greatest player of all time, Michael Jeffrey Jordan. So that basically means that we will get to see Mr. Ajmer Singh Chopra play against and compete against Michael Jordan. It introduces a whole bunch of scenarios and a whole bunch of storylines we can explore. Will Mr. Ajmer Singh Chopra be on the same level as Michael Jordan in this fantastical scenario? Will he be able to stop Michael Jordan from getting those 6 rings he ended up getting with the Chicago Bulls in real life? It's definitely going to be a whole load of fun. And yeah, that's pretty much what I needed to explain to you about the game. Now, what I'm going to be doing is simulating the first season and then getting into the NBA draft. Once we get there, I'll explain to you how things work a little more, and we'll see which team in the NBA Mr. Ajmer Singh Chopra ends up on. Okay, guys, so we are here after the simulation of the first season. In case you guys are wondering, the Los Angeles Lakers won the NBA championship, but we're going to be focusing on the off season now. So as you guys can see on the screen, I have simulated to the draft lottery, and this is a very important part of the off-season process in the NBA. Now in modern times, it's a little bit different, but back in the day, in the 80s, the way it worked is that the two worst teams in the NBA had a 50% chance of getting the number one overall draft pick. The reason why the number one overall draft pick is so important is because it gives one of those two worst teams the chance to pick the top college prospect or the top prospect in that draft class. In this case, many of you would agree that it is Michael Jordan, but now we've introduced Ajmer Singh Chopra into this simulation, and he is currently rated as a rookie at 80 overall, which means he should end up ideally being a top 5 pick. And that's why we will be heading into this draft lottery to see which teams end up in the top 5 and which teams could potentially end up drafting Mr. Ajmer Singh Chopra. So from the looks of it, the Chicago Bulls and the Washington Bullets have the best chances of getting the first and second overall picks. And the Washington Bullets get the number one overall pick, followed by the Chicago Bulls. The third pick is with the San Antonio Spurs. The fourth pick is with the Los Angeles Clippers, and the fifth pick has gone to the Houston Rockets. So with that done and dusted, we can head immediately to the NBA draft. Before that, we can just head to scouting, look at mock drafts, and see where everyone is expected to land. Number one overall, no surprises, according to Sporting News, the article where the website where we actually saw the article. Michael Jordan is expected to go number one overall to the Washington Bullets. Coincidentally, he ended up playing there when the Bullets became the Wizards years later. Number 2 overall, Hakeem Olajuwon is expected to go to the Chicago Bulls. And at number 3, you can see that Ajmer Singh is expected to join the San Antonio Spurs. So yeah, it's a pretty interesting draft. So let's not just stand on ceremony anymore and see where Ajmer Singh Chopra ends up. So number 1 overall, the Washington Bullets select Michael Jordan. No surprises there. Number 2 overall, the Chicago Bulls select Hakeem Olajuwon. So far so good in terms of the predictions from Sporting News. And at number 3 overall, the San Antonio Spurs do end up selecting Ajmer Singh Chopra. So I think we can just skip to the end of the draft now. It really isn't that important anymore how this draft pans out. But now basically what we will be doing is we will be taking control of the Spurs so that we can keep a track of how Mr. Ajmer Singh Chopra's career progresses. And yeah, as of now, I will just show you what the starting lineups look like. We'll see if Mr. Ajmer Singh Chopra is actually starting for the San Antonio Spurs. And if he is, we will simulate his entire rookie season and we will see how he performs. Taking a look. He is not starting right now. He's currently behind George Gervin who was a San Antonio Spurs legend in his own right. But we can change that around. I would like to see Mr. Ajmer Singh Chopra start. So all that will take is making one little change to George Gervin's position. We'll play him as a small forward. Give his backup position at shooting guard, and that should immediately put Mr. Ajmer Singh Chopra in the starting lineup. So let's just do that. Yep, there he is in the starting lineup. So yeah, I really don't think there's anything more to talk about. I will simulate his rookie season and catch you guys by the end of it to show you guys how he's performed. So here we are at the end of Mr. Ajmer Singh Chopra's rookie season. His San Antonio Spurs ended with a 41-41 record, so they were neither here nor there when it comes to being a good team. But looking at the awards, Magic Johnson won MVP. The next award on the list is what was really important to us, which is the Rookie of the Year award. But my gut feeling tells me, yep, I was right. Michael Jordan ended up winning Rookie of the Year. He averaged a really solid 25 points, 4.3 rebounds, 5.1 assists, 2.1 steals, and nearly 2 blocks per game. Looking otherwise, Jim Paxson won Sixth Man of the Year on the Portland Trail Blazers. Ralph Sampson won Defensive Player of the Year on the Houston Rockets. Danny Ainge on the San Antonio Spurs won the Kia Most Improved Player of the Year, so he's a part of our team. And yeah, the Lakers had the best record with 70-12. Now, although Mr. Ajmer Singh Chopra did not win Rookie of the Year, there is a good chance he did end up on the All-Rookie team. Looking at the All-NBA teams, Michael Jordan actually got in his first season, which is absolutely insane. All defensive teams, he's not anywhere there. And Mr. Ajmer Singh is on the all-rookie teams, but he is currently injured, which is a bit surprising. But yeah, looking at his stats, pretty decent stats. He averaged about 18.8 points per game, 5.9 rebounds, 1.6 assists, about a steal and a block per game, 49% from the field, and surprisingly, he did attempt a few threes. Taking a look at that, it was actually not that many. He had attempted 14 threes in the entire season and made only 2, which is again not that surprising because his 3-point shooting is a very low stat. But yeah, that is the All-Rookie Awards. We now enter the playoffs, and the San Antonio Spurs actually did make it the playoffs because they do have a very decent team with George Gervin there as well. They're currently the 5th seed. So yeah, let's simulate through the playoffs and let's see if maybe Mr. Ajmer Singh can play a part in the Spurs potentially winning a championship. And it would seem that that is unfortunately not the case. The San Antonio Spurs were knocked out in the first round, which means we can simulate the rest of the playoffs. But I mean, this is just the start. There's definitely going to be many more years for us to simulate, and there is still going to be a good chance that he actually ends up becoming an NBA champion. The Lakers and the Celtics in the finals, and the Lakers come out on top again. Magic Johnson wins Finals MVP. So another abrupt end to another Daily Rate video, but I realized if I played out the entire career simulation for you guys, this would take about 40 minutes, and I don't think anybody has the time to stick around for that long. So I've decided to split this career simulation into 2 parts. The first part, as you guys just saw, covered the real life accomplishments of Mr. Ajmer Singh Chopra, what he looks like in the game, where he was drafted, and what he did in his rookie season. The second part will be a lot more juicier because we will get into the action of the game. We will get to see what he plays like on the court. We will see some of the things that he has accomplished in this fantastical career of his. And of course, we'll come to the end of his career where we will see whether he ends up going down as an all-time NBA great. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next part, which I should be releasing in a day or two. See you then.